to Sailors with Cars. I know it's been a minute since we've done a video, but we've actually got 2 lined up for today. I'm looking forward to that. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. At the bottom, you see the subscribe button there. Hit it, subscribe. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. We don't have a Twitter account, sorry. Anyhow, make sure you tune in and check out our videos. Today we've got Harry Reeves with us, old shipmate of mine from the USS Kitty Hawk. Probably a way better tour for you than it was for me. Everybody speaks very highly of the ship. I just have nightmares when I speak of it. Harry's up here. Harry and I reconnected a couple of years ago. We've really reconnected since we both now have, he had his before mine, beautiful Aston Martins. Enjoyed that group. Harry, thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. Of course, this Sailors with Cars. I have to talk a little bit about your background as being a sailor.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome.
Very much enjoy your channel. I get to watch it and see other sailors that I knew as well.
We like that. All 12 of you that are subscribed too. It's awesome.
It's good. You mentioned the sailor history, and so back in not going to go too long on this, but back in 1986 there was a movie called Top Gun that came out. It's there's going to be a remake next year or something like that. But I was a junior in high school, and I knew what I wanted to do, and that was to go fly jets for the Navy. But that just reinforced it. So as a redneck from North Carolina, I went off to the Naval Academy, spent 4 years by the Bay up there, worked my way down to Pensacola through flight school, and I got my wings and got selected for the F-14 Tomcat.
Nice.
This is the airplane that made the movie famous. And so I came out here kicking and screaming to Miramar back in 1993. I had no idea what San Diego was about, and I fell in love with the city. And it's been amazing ever since, almost to a career detriment. I spent most of my time out here. So I was at Miramar. No, at Miramar, and then I went right away out to Japan to Aston. So I flew out of Cat 5 off of the Indy at that time. So I flew out there for a while, and then came back. Ended up going a test route, so I flew test pilot work out of Point Good, north of Malibu.
What's the weirdest plane you flew over there?
Out of there, I actually got an F4 ride. So at the time, they were flying F4s as drones that would shoot them down. So they actually would take the airplane, remove the seats, and put the automatic package in there and fly it out to one of the islands where they did this package change out there, and then fly it using a target.
Oh, nice.
And a quick funny story is on the flight schedule, the F4 would have a name, and it's Ensign NOLA, which NOLA stood for no pilot on board, no live pilot on board. But the funny part was you could always tell how well the test had gone by the rank of Mr. NOLA, because his first flight he was an Ensign, and then he became JT.
Oh yeah.
And then he became Lieutenant. And so you could tell how well the missile test had gone whenever you saw Captain NOLA on the flight schedule flying that day. So
that's my way ahead.
Yeah, he's getting a little long in the tooth. But flew out of there, ended up shutting down the Tomcat back in 2004, transitioned over to the Super Hornet, and then went out into the wonderful desert of China Lake. So it's not quite hell, but you can see hell from China Lake.
Okay.
So spent a little bit of time out there, and then eventually I ended up doing an individual augment back in 2006 as we started supporting the ground forces in Afghanistan. So I ended up supporting JSOC, Joint Special Ops, where my last flying tour was with a command out of Hurlburt. We were supporting Tier 1, and it was amazing work that we got to go do. So, handful of other tours to include the Kitty Hawk and some other.
What did you do on Hawk?
So on the Kitty Hawk, you have the Stryko, and Stryko is perhaps the most glorified schedules rider that you can have. So didn't fly a lot, almost none, but I got to spend many nights working on a schedule. And about midnight when we were done, start over, where the airplane who only supply, but basically writing the schedule for the entire battle group to include everything from unwrap, we would get food.
Or you put the cartoons in.
I put the cartoons in, the sketch to it.
Yes.
That's mine.
Yes.
That's my claim to fame.
I have every one of those, and I was in. I kept every one. I have some great. I've never shared those with you. It's a whole other life. The Tourette's one is one of my favorites. I don't know if you remember that. Chang has a new MPA. It's a barking dog sitting next to him, barking, nipping at him. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Anyhow, sorry.
Yeah, no, but so a couple of ships. I mentioned the year that I spent in Iraq and Afghanistan supporting JSOC. That was 06 and 07. And one of the most rewarding years of my naval service. And you have to be careful how you say that sometimes. I'm fighting the war, but you're actually going out and doing something you plan to prepare to do, you train.
Sure.
And then I look at one of my last tours that I did was I was a student at the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, where I got my master's degree.
Nice.
And completely diametric on the scale, both absolutely the most rewarding times. So I look back at that, the academic experience of being there, and I look at my operational experience, and I had a charmed career almost the entire time. I really enjoyed it.
2 years in Rhode Island? Or
1 year.
1 year. Nice. And when did you retire?
I retired in 2018. So finished up out there, and then decided I wanted to come back. I had enough. It's about time.
It hasn't been that long ago. So 2 years. I thought you were going to retire longer.
No, I did a total of 31 to include the 4 years at the boat school.
Wow. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
That's like LEO long.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Thank you for your service.
It was an honor. Thank you.
What have you brought us up today?
Well,
Step back and look at this beautiful ride.
yeah, I basically fell in love with Porsche as a kid. I had Porsche posters all over my house, and I thought I'm gonna have it. And as I grew up and older, I met a lot of people about Porsche, not a lot of people about Aston Martin. And I turned 50 last November, and I decided that I'm not going to call it a midlife crisis, but it's time to reward myself for some of the things that I got to do. And I went on to the Aston Martin website here in San Diego, and they had a listing without a picture. And they hadn't even gotten a car on the lot yet. They were listed. And so I got in touch with them and said, I know you don't have a picture of it, but I want to see it. And I did. And it was up on a lift, and it was being worked on. I looked at it and said, I had the first right of refusal to this car. And I fell in love with it. And I can't imagine having, this is my car. It's the one I wanted. I couldn't argue with.
And this is the V8 Vantage.
It's the V8.
It's nice.
It's a
Of course,
2000.
convertible.
Yeah, the Roadster, the colors, everything about it is exactly what I wanted.
What color? What is this called? It's called
Midnight blue.
midnight. That's Martin. That's what he said. Did you know they make a curved green? You probably knew that. Yeah, they make a curved. I had actually. Yeah, so I subscribe to a channel that always has awesome Martins on it, and they had a new Vantage, curved green. So I said, "What color is that?" The guy said, "Curved green." I said, "Yeah, I'm not buying that." No, I work for Aston Martin. That is the color, curved green. Well, no, it is. It is. I checked it out. It is a curved green. It's a standout green. Yeah, I like this. This is nice.
Well, I think one of the neat things about the color is it's not, it doesn't change per se, like some of the new paint that we saw recently over at the dealership. But in the darker shades, it's almost black. And then when light hits it,
I thought it was black when you were down the drive.
yeah, reflecting it shows it a much bluer whenever it's like the sun.
It's nice. Let's take a look at that engine. Okay, of course, we're here looking at the engine. It's a 4.3 V8. We think about 400 horsepower. Naturally aspirated, which I always like because it gives it that just natural, nice, throaty sound. Does yours have, because I don't remember on the V8, do you have a button to control exhaust? Is there a sport mode that gives it more oomph on the exhaust?
There is a sport mode, but I'll tell you one of the funnier things real quickly was that when I took my test ride, the guy that was with me said, let's go ahead and take it for a quick drive. And then let's pull over, let's go to the back where the fuse box was on. And so we removed one of the fuses, which takes basically removes some of doesn't remove the baffles, but it hits the baffles. Or
How big opens the wastegate?
it basically makes it give it the beautiful sound that you get from 1 to 3,000. It's the same as you get between 3 and 5.
So you left it out, of course.
It's in the both of them.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's extremely loud. when you go to sport mode, it's louder, and I love it. Yeah, you gotta love the sound. And there's such a, those are rock solid engine. You put it in everything. That's nice. Look at the rear end. Yeah. Okay, good. We're just taking a quick rear shot of the car because Aston Martins have such a beautiful ass end, I will say. I love that color, that midnight blue. That's just a really pretty color. Yeah, it just got the nice dark to it. Reflects the light really well. Yeah, it's a nice looking. It's a nice looking car. All right, let's take a look. All right, and we're on. All right, so Harry's inside the car, of course. And if you've watched our videos in the past, you might recognize the color of this leather because Duck's car, and his was a manual. It's the only difference. But he had the same color leather. Do you know the name of this leather?
Fox Red.
Fox Red? I'd have never come up with that because it looks pretty brown to me, but what do I know? I look at the neighbor's car and I think it's gold, and Stacy says, no, that's orange. You need to check your eyes. I'm not colorblind either, by the way. Yeah, okay. Yeah, whatever. He's 90 years old. I don't know what he's doing. All right, so basically it's the same. Got the clock in there. Oh, Lord. Yeah, well, it's a nice interior. I'm just going to go ahead and float the camera up because I'm tired of kneeling because it hurts my knees. You've not done anything to the inside, right? Just driven it?
Say again?
You've not done anything to the inside? No. How many miles are on it?
35,000.
No, it didn't have. Was it a one owner, couple owner? Do you know?
No, there were three, I think, maybe two. I think it's three. It originally was in New York, and then it came to Houston, and then it came to Newport.
Made its way west.
Right. So that the company bought it in Newport and brought it down here for me.
Nice. All right. You know what? Enough of this. I'm looking forward to going for a ride. Let's do that.
Let's go.
So Michael Sailors with Cars with Harry. We're in the Aston Martin. Top down, of course. Make sure you're. Sorry. Reach it. Yeah. Make sure that's. So the magic's made. You can see how some of the cheese is made. I always get in trouble with the mics because the seatbelt will hit them, and I'll be like, "Oh, great sound!" And we're gonna go straight.
Okay.
So, do you mainly paddle shift yours?
Yeah.
Does yours have the jerky transmission also?
You do a little, just let your toe off, and it's almost like driving a manual.
With the paddles.
Right, with the paddle. So yeah, I come off the toe.
Yep.
And then just give it, and it's fairly smooth.
But when you're in full automatic, does it give the thing?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really drive it in full auto, especially every now and then, because it'll automatically downshift. I'll let it bring itself down, even though you love that blip when you come down through second to first at about, between 18 and 15 miles an hour coming down. You get that awesome Aston, sound. And so you kind of do that on purpose, but for the most part, I'll let it come down until I really want to enjoy the sound. But going up though, you can't beat it.
No, that's how mine is the same way. The only time I put mine in D is if I'm on the freeway for any extended time, and maybe I've got the cruise control set.
Sure.
Other than that, no, I'm always paddle shifting because it just performs so much better paddle shifting. And you gotta love the coming down off the gears.
Yeah.
So I'll let it go from second to first on its own when I'm coming to a stop. But other than that, I shift it down all the time. And because the V12 gives you so much range on RPM, it's unbelievable. But these are just,
Yes, that's pretty smooth.
Yeah, you just gotta love them. Gotta love them until you get up behind somebody.
Yeah, it happens.
So we were doing an interview once with a retired captain friend of mine, Mike Taylor. I worked for him a couple times. Mike's got older muscle cars. He's got a couple Corvettes. He brought out one of his Corvettes. He goes, "Have you got a donut on camera yet?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "What if we did one?" I go, "Oh, I don't care." So when we got down here to the bottom of the street, he's like, "Whoa!" He goes, "I hope that got on camera." I go, "Well, you're damn right it did. And it's staying. I'm not editing that out."
Well, it was funny when I took my test drive. This is the first performance car I've really ever had.
Well, I think as a fighter pilot, you'd be driving all kinds of high-end cars.
So I have as my daily driver a 2005, so a 15-year-old Volvo. It's an S60R, so it's the sport version. Okay, it's the sport version, but it is a Volvo.
It's a nice, safe car.
Yeah, it's very safe.
Safe car.
But the point I make about that was that I took the test drive.
Good on this side.
Okay. I took the test drive, and like I said, the sound of this car, in conjunction with the power behind it, it only took once.
So I had only driven two Aston Martins, one being Ducks, before I bought mine, because I had looked at Ferraris forever, and they invited me to drive one of the new Vantages with the V8 twin turbo, and I was like, wow, this is quite the car.
Yeah.
And then Duck came and brought his, and then I shifted my focus over, and that's how I ended up buying mine.
Yeah. Well,
And I always wanted a V12. In a Ferrari, if you want to get a V12, that's just, number one, they're hard to find, and two, it just adds a shit ton of money to them.
Okay.
And Aston Martin has made the V12 forever. They just stopped when they shifted over to the AMG, and that was 2018 or 19.
Right.
Because they needed a new engine,
Right.
and it cost too much money to design one, so it's easier. They've been associated with Mercedes for years,
Right.
so it was just easier to do that. But yeah, that V12, they've had that engine for, I want to say 20 years. It's a hell of an engine.
Well, the DBS and the Super Leggero are still using handmade Austin motors, but the Vantage and I'm not even sure if it's the AMR, but those are both the AMG motors.
Yes. So you can they upgraded the DBS has the new the V12 twin turbo in it, and I think that's the only car you can get with that engine in it. And I think that is still an Aston Martin engine, but I think it's got a lot of Mercedes in it.
All right.
All right. Well, it was a great ride around. I love the car. Gotta love the Aston Martin. Thanks for bringing it up.